So good afternoon, all. I would like to welcome our panelist, Mr. Ravi Raghavan, Mr. TK Ramesh, Mr. Vivek Nanivadekar, Navid, Talib, and Vikas Bharadwaj to this panel of discussion. I thank Economics Time and special thanks to Rahul and the team for giving me this opportunity to be part of this discussion and sharing the discussion as a moderator. I've been associated with ET as an external moderator for past 2 years, and being on the same role of the for the metal cutting and forming series. So welcome the panelists. We will start the discussion, and to start with, I would take the statement of Mr. Ravi Raghavan, which I read a statement of yours wherein you mentioned that the industry is presently about 6,600 crores. So I'm talking about the Indian machine and forming industry, and is expected to see a significant growth in the coming year. The industry is expected to reach 9,500 to 10,000 crores in 2023. That's the figure I see. That's really impressive, and we also see we see a compound annual growth rate of 11.45% between 22 to 27. So while I see all these figures, they are really impressive. I have a question to you, Mr. Ravi. How I mean, when these figures have been taken, I think we have done enough study behind this. So how the industry is ready for this? Are we ready to embrace these changes, and are we ready to take this opportunity?
Thank you, Chatyabrata. Yeah, just a few things. 6,600, when we said that was for the Indian manufacturer.
Yes, I agree.
Otherwise, the consumption is more than that. And actually, the good part is this number keeps on changing every time you talk to us.
Yeah.
Because it's going only northward. And the number is much more. We will be very close to 9,000 odd from the Indian machine tool manufacturers.
Yeah.
And, probably we will be crossing the highest ever production by a good margin, and this continues. So, to answer your question, are we ready? I don't think anybody would be completely ready, but we are in a much better position every year compared to previous years. Today, we are very seriously looked at by many of the advanced countries. So all our member companies have been sending really good machines to some of the advanced countries. So we are not in that state where we were maybe a decade ago, where export meant that we will send it to smaller countries. Right? Today, we are very confident to sell it to the advanced countries and very confidently address many of the unique requirements which competes with the best of the class of machines supplied from abroad from the technology perspective. Yes, we have some gaps to cover from the supply chain perspective, from the aesthetics perspective, from the workmanship perspective. These are sort of points that we have to address very fast. These are fairly low-hanging fruits that we can do to improve our businesses. There are gaps from the high technology, big size machines, which will be the need going forward more and more because of the development of industries in the domestic areas. For example, railways, the ports, shipbuilding, etc., infrastructure related may require much bigger size machines. So how do we handle from an infrastructure perspective from within? Because we can't today have foundries which can do a casting of, say, 20 tons, limited, right? How do you deal with those accuracies of 6-meter machines, etc.? How do you transport them? So we have those small limitations, and that's why the industry is working to see how we can improve upon that. But I think what has changed over the years is the amount of confidence that we have as an industry that we will be able to face the global and the domestic challenges for our customers.
Right. So to go forward, I think the statistic says that we are 11 in production and 8 in consumption, right? So with this, we see there is an improvement which is going to come in future years.
Yes.
Right.
We're targeting to move at least one step ahead in the next 2 years, because after that there is a much bigger gap between the fifth and the fourth one. But I think two changes will happen. Our exports will grow drastically in the whole year.
Yep.
Some of the industries which consume a lot of machine tools are still not developed in India, and that's coming. For example, as of now, it's only automotive.
Yeah.
If you look at some other consumption countries, it's automotive. Yes, that's the biggest one, but
aerospace and others also get added to that.
Related things which we are not. So defense. These are things which our country is moving ahead in those industry, and that will add a lot of sort of stimulus to the consumption pattern of the Indian machine tool. So basically, and production, I think we will go up, and many of our member companies are adding capacities. So we will have, earlier we used to add incremental. Any manufacturing company in India, used to add incremental volumes, not being very sure of how the growth will be in future, etc. But I think even in machine tool industry now, we feel pretty confident. So people are not doing incremental increase in capacities, but fairly larger increase in capacities too. And probably the change would happen is we will have a higher capacity than the requirement. For the first time, we will not be chasing as a capacity the requirement, but we'll have excess. We'll be ahead in capacity to cater to the market needs. And that probably is, according to me, the biggest change along with technology that will happen.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ravi. And taking this discussion forward, I think you mentioned that there are some challenges like logistics. Yeah, I agree with you. And technology, yeah, we are moving ahead on that. And coming back, I mean, the question is, to the user industry. I mean, Mr. Vivek, Navid, anyone of you can answer this because you are the user industry. And see, this additive manufacturing, which is it's taking a space now, and actually, if I talk about my industry, where we have started using additive manufacturing, very extensively. So when I say additive manufacturing, I mean to the micro manufacturing, I mean the accuracy manufacturing, and I'm not saying that the bigger one, the bigger parts, because for the die and mold industry, we have started using this in our industry. So is the increase of this what you said additive manufacturing will impact anyway to this machining and forming industry?
Yeah, I'll take this question. Additive manufacturing, I don't think that, it'll take the pie from the machining industry as such. Because additive manufacturing, as a user in the automotive industry, the most of the additive manufacturing technology that is basically used in making jigs, fixtures, it's like most of the things they are being used like small kaizens, small improvements. So for doing the assembly, the user wants certain kind of jigs or certain kind of assembly fixtures. So such kind of fixtures, quick turnaround time wherever it is required. So such areas, this additive manufacturing is being used. The second area where we are applying the additive manufacturing extensively is in the manufacturing of the spare parts. Like we build a robotic arm for painting. This robotic arm, getting that robotic arm had a long lead time. But then we designed it by our own team, and then we were able to use that robotic arm in our paint shop. So the cost actually of that entire robotic arm was about 6 lakh something. But then when we produced it in-house, that just cost us about, 15,000 rupees. And we are able to use that robotic arm, same, functionality, we are able to apply it. So such areas, it is being used. It's also being applied in inspection areas in the automotive
Yeah,
industry.
adding to you, Mr. Navid, yeah, you say the right thing. The question, the answer is right. What you are saying is correct. But the mold and die industry has taken this additive manufacturing to a different level. And if I say the conformal quilling, which we are using today, my core and cavities, which are being made today because IAC, we used to make almost 800 molds, and we cater to the manufacture, to all automotive sectors. So yeah, adding to you what you said rightly, we see that the precision machining which is being done to a core and cavity of a mold or die and punch of a stamping tool, we see there is a shift. So I was talking about that point. When there is a precision manufacturing, at least we have seen that 30% of our work has been taken over by which we used to use a 5-axis milling machine earlier, and we are not able to do a conformal cooling earlier, so we are doing it. So coming back to Mr. Vivek, what's your opinion on this? Because you come from a cutting tool. You come with very close to my industry, that's tool and die making. So I think I'll come to you.
Yeah, okay. As I look at it, it is too premature to talk about that, how it is going to impact the whole manufacturing industry. But as I see, this is going to be a complementing to the machine tool industry. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
It's certainly not going to replace a particular operation. But as mentioned, it could be manufacturing for spare parts, or it could be manufacturing, the last minute rush components where you manufacture and you use it in your die and mold.
Yes.
Because, I know many times when the mold comes for the assembly, then the mold maker realizes that something is missing and then they need it fast.
Yeah.
So that time this would be definitely useful. But this is today's situation. Tomorrow, the way the development in this additive manufacturing is going on, it is going to go to the very, very highest stage. And we need to really look at it positively, probably, that how that is going to develop. Okay. And probably I think Ramesh TK would be able to tell you more, because they are already manufacturing this additive manufacturing.
Yeah. Over to you, Mr. Ramesh. Mr. TK Ramesh.
You're on mute.
Yeah. I hope you all can hear me.
Yeah, Mr. Ramesh, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Yes.
The question, please.
The question was that is additive manufacturing is going to take away a pie from this machining and forming industry?
Yeah, definitely some portions would like to shift, like what you all were already discussing, whether it's complex tools. Again, prototyping, definitely, yes, additive, unlike the past where you used to make them on metal cutting machines, perhaps will go into additive. I believe over a period of time, from a production perspective, you would have perhaps, I don't know, a vertical milling machine, which would also have an additive head, which could, add something, or then you add and then you, from an accuracy perspective, do a light machining cut.
Yeah,
so
hybrid
machining is perhaps from a production perspective, that's what's expected to happen.
Yes.
And again, as I see, depending on the maturity of the country and thereby the market, the use of machine tools also, see, for example, like what Ravi correctly said, automotive is a big user in India, but is also one of the users in more mature markets. I know that in China, CNC machine tools are used for a lot of civil engineering components, because they make construction is made in such big scales, in such accuracy. So yes, additive will, hybrid machines will come in. There will be some precision activities or complex activities that would go to additive. And from a regular CNC machines, like what happened between conventionals to CNCs. From automotive, they will go to more day-to-day issues and use. So overall, it's change, and I think some kind of an adaptation is definitely going to come. Technology obsolescence will happen, but I don't think that will be a very significant part. It will be like in the normal course of what used to happen, which could happen even to, let's say, what ballpoint pens did to ink pens. But then the value and then quantity, it's a game that ultimately decides the fate of the industry.
So it is going to take some time, right? Mr. Vikas, Bharadwaj, you want to add something to it?
Yep, I think I agree with what every other panelist said. I think what Mr. Ravi said, that there is a lot of scope today where we still import. I think that's an area, if you're able to indigenize, that will definitely offset whatever goes away from the additive. Definitely, as part of industry, will introduce the additive manufacturing, and which is happening in some industries. It will catch up slowly in the other industries as well. But the way we have seen India is gradually migrating from being a pure automotive segment oriented to now getting into electronics. There's a huge volume of machines that are being required in the electronic segment, which has seen a very steep increase in the last 2 years. Defense certainly has been growing for a long time, and I think majority of the machines are imported still. And if you're able to fill up this gap, I'm sure we don't see a big problem in the domestic manufacturing really hitting the numbers that we are talking about.
Right. So with that, Mr. Vikas, you are making me closer to my next question to the panelists. The question is, what I can recall is around, I think, 47% of our machines are being imported, right? Today, if we see that the numbers are close to 47-48%, which are being imported. So anyone can respond to this question. I don't want this to be very specific. How are we going to reduce this import? I think that is going to add value to us. That is first question. And we talk a lot on, like, government is doing all this Make in India and PLI schemes, all this. So how this is going to help the industry? So there are two questions to this. My one question, that how are we going to reduce this import, and how government and we are helping the industry?
Okay, can I take that, and then Ramesh?
Yeah, go ahead, Raghavan. Go ahead, please go ahead.
Okay, there are two parts to it. One is from the technology point. Yes, there was a gap which every company, every of our membership company are genuinely working to bridge that gap. There's a serious attempt being made, so that is really going to bridge the gap. The second part of that is also, now the machine is not seen as an individual equipment. It is being seen as a part of a solution. So you are seeing more and more machines with built-in gantries, built-in robo, and machine actually is becoming 40, 50%, 60% of the whole scheme of things. I call it the ecosystem. So people are wanting to buy that, and definitely we are there in that part. Using that automation, I think we are probably in a level playing field with the West in that technology, with our young people much more skilled in this activity. So I think that will help us bridge. For example, when I say some of us are exporting really big solution, this is machine with complete automation, connected machines sitting from here, commissioning, maintaining, etc. And the value of that product, if you see, the machine would be, say, just for an example, if it's a crore machine, actually the whole solution is a 4 crore solution. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
So that's helping big time. I think till now, to answer your question, how the other part we can reduce the imports is, till now all of us were full of orders. We were actually, really full of work. Never. We really spend a more amount of our resources in looking out, exploring more, doing different things. Now that part is behind us. We are genuinely spending resources on exploring newer markets and doing that. That would add to a lot of our increased market share in the domestic sector.
Right. And I mean, who is helping these manufacturers? I mean, the machine manufacturers. When I say that, yeah, government is getting some schemes for them, is really the OE are also supporting these manufacturers?
Now, yes, I think OEMs are working together. Like there are many projects in which the industry members are working with the customers. So it's a joint development happening. Like MHI, for example, has the scheme of developing new products, where for the first time academia, the machine tool builder, and the customer from an automobile and heavy industry, the construction equipments, they jointly define the project. This is called the industrial robo, for example, which we are jointly developing in with IIT Madras. So IIT Madras, a couple of MTBs, and the end customer. That means that the requirement is defined properly, and the manufacturers are also part of the whole scheme. So I think such changes are happening. Otherwise, one used to develop a product, but the buyer was not ready, or the buyer would demand and the developer.
The product is not ready. Yeah. That's how it's
definitely changing now.
Right. Yeah, Mr. Vikas, you want to add something?
Yeah, I feel one of the area that the Indian machine tool manufacturing certainly should look into is the controller part.
Yeah.
You are still predominantly dependent on using an imported options.
Yes.
One good old days, HMT used to have their own controller of head and hind, I think. But this is one area where we see a big gap where somebody should really take a lead, and maybe we are also willing to participate and support. How do we make an indigenous control system which will really make machines efficient?
Yeah. That's yeah, please.
Sorry, I have the responsibility to respond to Mr.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So, I think we all have felt the need, and this is the feedback we got. And at least the 3 of the machine tool builders have their own solution. But that's probably, and we have put it in the market, everything has happened. But I think we realized that we should have an India CNC. Yeah. And now we as an industry are working, we're putting some proposals to the government as well, and see. You will see a lot of action in this in the next 12 months. We are very, very seriously looking at it.
So with the India CNC, the dependency on this hidden hind, FANUC, and Siemens will go down.
Yeah, because we saw that it's not only the machine, but few of us only know that some of the CNCs put on sensitive machines can also be a security issue for the country. So we have to seriously look at those parts. When the machines get connected and things like that, you don't have any protection on the machine.
Absolutely.
Right.
To add to what Ravi and Mr. Vikas said, from a business perspective, if you look at it, yes, the percentages look that way. The import, export, and the local manufacturing data can also be looked at from different perspective, which is by numbers. If you look at one is the total value, the second is the number of such units that get, and then Ravi rightly said that the more complex solutions, a lot of work is happening, and the maturity is definitely beginning to get better and better. But it again, rightly, this is where the OEs, the users, and the government, the change in the maturity of the country itself. If you look at by numbers, probably in the last 20 years, if you look at CNC machines, let's say the lathes, the mills, and even to an extent on the horizontal machining centers, or CNC grinders, which are high technology, you will really see that their numbers have been going down because of the indigenous company efforts that have happened and the maturity that has already happened. Now with defense manufacturing, a lot of privatization and the schemes that the government is coming up with, looking at defense products as a commodity that could be exported by itself, looking at the current political scenario, the need for indigenous manufacturers to work with indigenous machine tool development people, like what Ravi rightly mentioned, where, security, waiting for a little more, putting those R&D efforts, whether it's people or whether it's investments, are beginning to happen, and are also happening in a more holistic perspective, which I believe will lead to technology coming down or import dependence coming down. And if you look at what was happening to technology, another aspect has been a lot of these end user companies were actually multinationals setting up plants here, and they strongly believed in repeating what was working elsewhere. So the need for locally development solutions, or thereby the investments, whether it's a CNC system or whether it's fixturing, whether it's tooling, whether it's programming, and whether looking at technology development tools itself to develop solutions, are all being viewed, thanks to COVID, thanks to the wars. So definitely from an environment perspective also, there is a push. The maturity has happened, capacities are available. We've already done it in the then high-tech CNC equipment. So I believe we are going in the right way. If at all there's something, it's about the speed. Can we do it a little faster? No, those are areas that we really will have to look internally, look at people, look at, better people resources. And those are some of the areas that we really need to work on, which are the challenges.
Yeah, rightly said, Mr. Ramesh. I think the tooling industry is really waiting for it, because, wherever I go, I see the tool rooms are packed with a Mori machine or a Deckel or a Hito. And when I talk about, they prefer to import these machines. And, because the argument which comes from them is like, accuracy and all. So I really hope that we make these machines in-house in India. And sometimes I see all my tool makers are being using these Indian machines, and they should talk about this machine. So really, that's a good move. Coming back to the cutting tool industry, I think you talked about that, and Vivek is there. Mr. Vikas is there, right? Mr. Vikas, am I right? You are from Caterers.
Yes.
Yeah. So how are you helping us on this? I mean, the manufacturing industry or the machine tool. We buy very good machines in our factory, and how your cutting tool is doing for is going with the change.
See, I think there has been it's been long time that cutting tool and the machine tool industry go hand in hand. I think as the development happens in the machine tool, it has to follow with the cutting tool also. The kind of RPMs that we use now, you need those kind of material coming up from the cutting tool industry, and I think we have been really working together. I think all the cutting tool companies have a very good engagement with the machine tool builders, and there's a constant exchange of ideas and constant exchange of needs, that what are they looking up and what are their challenges. I can say on behalf of the whole cutting tool industry that we have been really seeing a good partnership in this area. Coming to some of the developments that we are doing here, the domestic market for cutting tool has really been growing in line with the domestic machine tool. The imports used to be very high percentage of the in the past, but almost every company has set up their manufacturing here. There is a good technology transfer. I think that has helped us to make things competitive, and also to bring the technology to the doorstep of the machine builders to say how the future is looking at. And I see that is going to continue going forward as well. And the more we know each other's requirement, and then the more we are clear in the path forward, I'm sure together we'll be able to go and reach the ambitions that we're talking about.
Yeah, that's right. With better machines and better cutting tools, the manufacturing industry will be blessed with that. Yeah, I believe. Mr. Vivek, you want to add something on this?
See, I represent the multinational company, but at the same time, I have no force or a pressure that I have to buy imported machines. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
As Ravi said, we are looking for a solution. Whatever the machine, if it meets our requirement, we are going for that. So I have a combination, the imported, and I have more Indian machine than the imported machines. Okay.
Okay.
So otherwise, why MNC should come to India? So there has to be a basically what do you call the raw material and then the process cost. So if we have to be competitive, it has to be the competitive in the process cost, because nowadays more or less the raw material prices are same all over the world, maybe plus minus 5-10%, not more than that.
Okay? Yes.
So if we have to be competitive, so you have to improve the process, and the process where the machine tool makes the vital part. So it's the machine and a man combination, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So certainly, as long as it produces the result, there is no pressure on me that I have to buy the imported machine. I buy local machines. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. If you can produce the end requirement of the customer is a part or is a component or is the article, if that is within the tolerance, I think customer is not going to ask you for a imported machine or a Indian machine. They really don't bother about that. That's rightly said. Okay, when we see this as an opportunity in India, like Mr. Ravi said, that we are growing and the machine tool industry is also growing. Is there any? Surely there will be some impact because of the global crisis which is going on now. We thought that we are out of the COVID, and then this Russia and Ukraine war is taking place, and China is still not recovered. And I was seeing a news yesterday, China is again going back to complete lockdown and all. So how is it going to impact us? Anyone can answer to this question. When we see a growth, one side we see that we are targeting a growth, and other side we see the world is the things are behaving differently. So how are we seeing this scenario? Mr. Ramesh, you are on. Yeah.
Sorry. I would like to comment.
If I can make a start, just to say, see, this is going to be the way things are going to be. Something or the other is going to keep coming up. And personally, I think while all this has happened, these are all opportunities, first from a country perspective and definitely for each. See, we are seeing there's been tremendous interest from, let's say, Russia, many of the other CIS countries, and towards India, towards Indian manufacturing, and also towards Indian products. So yes, this is an opportunity. Yeah, there are difficulties, there are logistic challenges, etc., that we'll have to find out. But certainly one thing is coming, that regional global realignment is definitely on the cards.
Yeah.
Point number one. Point number two, I believe that to make all of this happen, we need people, we need education, we need facilities. And if you look across the globe, where is all of that? A lot of it is India, a lot of it is China. So again, I believe, it is an advantage. There are challenges. Now the question is, how much do we fold up our sleeves, get down, start doing the work, and then walking the talk, putting our money where our mouth is. And a lot of that is beginning to happen.
Right.
So I believe the momentum will build, and it's like an avalanche. The snowball is small, but perhaps the next 3 to 5 years will definitely make a very impactful change on not just machine tools, manufacturing, and how on the kind of roles that we as people, both service as well as products, there will be, thanks to COVID, thanks to all this digitization, etc. See, again, capital equipment have two parts. One is the product by itself, the solution, and then the lifetime cost and the services. Now, these are some areas that we are now in the process of trying to understand better and get. So I believe the impact to us, for us, will be beneficial.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ramesh. You took it in a very positive way. You used two powerful words, that this is opportunity and there is an advantage of this situation, and we should go for it. Mr. Vivek, you want to add to it?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, as he said, the opportunity is big and challenges are also very big. See, today, our total GDP is around 3 trillion, and where manufacturing is 15 to 17%. And as Prime Minister said, $5 trillion economy by 25. And 25% of that should come from manufacturing.
Manufacturing industry. Yes, you are absolutely
That
right.
represents exactly the 3 times growth in the manufacturing sector. And if we take it the same thing, then the machine tool industry also, there is a scope of growing for 3 times. Even if we conservative, is a definitely 2 times. Okay.
Yes.
So that kind of a challenge, and I'm happy to hear that Mr. Ravi said, yes, we are gearing up and we are not going for an incremental growth. We are going for a quantum.
Yes,
if that happens, so that kind of an opportunity exists. So apart from whatever happens in China or whatever happens in Ukraine and Russia and Europe, our whole exports is less than 10%. So it doesn't make any impact on our domestic growth. It is going to be all domestic demand-driven growth. Okay. And another angle to that today, I mean, we must have, everybody has experience, around 25% of the manufacturing from China industry will fit to India. If you take only 25%, whatever the MNCs are doing there. So that 25% itself is a very huge amount. So it is going to be finally a domestic demand-driven growth.
Yeah, that's absolutely said. Yeah, rightly said. Mr. Navid, you want to add something to this?
Yeah, just some numbers. Let's take on a bigger picture. 1991, we were 299 billion GDP, right? Dollar GDP.
Yeah.
Today we are 25 years from then, we are 10 times of that. Now, so 3 to 30 billion next 10 times. Trillion may not take 25 years, may take 15 years.
Yes.
Look at the growth, it's going to be tremendous. And as Mr. Vivek said, if 25% from 17% is going to be contributed by manufacturing, then it's, if one puts the numbers, it's mind-boggling. So normally we put in numbers and try to increase it. This is only one field now that you put in numbers and you have to start reducing. No, and then to really come to something which is, very difficult. So unless we build in capacities, it is not going to happen. Every country, has had a capital goods about 1 to 2 percentage points higher than the GDP growth. So even if India, we say 7.5%, that means the capital goods as such should grow at about 9% growth. Yes. Similarly, if you take the numbers, what is our capital good compared to the GDP? Really nothing. We are at less than 2% of the GDP in capital goods. The global average is 3.5%. Right? Advanced countries are 4% in capital goods as a GDP. So even if we are 3.2%, it's multipliers. It's not an incremental thing. So these numbers are actually mind-boggling. As Mr. Vivek said, with all the uncertainties of the globe, as Ramesh said, all the realignments happening, even if we only concentrate on domestic, it's much more. So in one of our industry meetings, people said, why always you're talking about export? The domestic itself will be so huge that you will not be able to cater to, right? So domestic is going to play a really...
Agree with you. I really agree with you.
And we are physically seeing this. If you see two latest the exhibitions globally that's happened for machine tools, one was in Chicago, the IMTS, and the GymTOF in Japan. One can physically feel the amount of curiosity they have for India. The questions, one of the press conferences I had to attend. So the questions they were asking is, are these numbers true? Is India growing like this? Is it what? A lot of people have so much of curiosity and confidence in India that I have never seen in my 30 years. So definitely it's very, very different and a very good space to be in manufacturing in India now.
Right. Rightly said. Mr. Navid, you were trying to say something on this. Yeah, please.
Yeah. So that's right. What Ravi was saying, that, people have got a lot of curiosity in what India is doing right now and what India is has to offer to the global market. So similar thing has happened to our industry also, like during this COVID times and, what's happening across Europe. Most of them are looking at India, and what we are doing right now is, the products that were being imported from China or which were being imported from Europe, all of them are being now manufactured at our place here in Ludhiana, and they are being exported all across the globe now. And that's the real change that has happened. And most of the companies which are there, which were there in China, they are realigning or relocating from China, out of China, and they're looking at other options. And India has definitely emerged as one of the major attractions for such companies. And they are tying up with several companies in India, and they're setting up their manufacturing bases in India. So I think it's time to skill up our workforce and look at these opportunities and take up this challenge to supply to the world.
Yeah. Mr. Vikas, you want to say something on this?
I think everybody has nicely summed up. I think it is all opportunities. We also see a lot of investment coming into India to support the global needs now. The way the situation is deteriorating in Europe, I think the demand from India is going to go up. The expectation, the world is looking at India now. And I think we could be really, it's an opportunity for us to step up and really make the most out of it, because this situation in Europe may continue for another year. And this is our time, this is the window. If we are able to ramp up and really support exports, so then we should not focus only on the domestic. Maybe we can think about increasing export from today 10% to maybe 20% going forward. So I think everywhere there are opportunities, be it domestic or be it export. And it's all on us now. How do we respond and how do we take benefit out of this opportunity?
Right. With that, we see a lot of opportunity on this, and we are hopeful with yeah, Mr. Ramesh, you're trying to say something?
No. I was just trying to add to what specifically Ravi mentioned. In many of those meetings, domestic demand is going to be so high. Why export? See, again, export really comes in from a relevance, because India is going to become a bright spot in the world. So everybody from everywhere are going to be competing in India. So it's at least to make a significant relevance. That's where export really comes in, because it's not that the Indians cannot buy from outside. So we have to be good.
Yeah, absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Mr. Ramesh. Okay, so we say that market is big and we are going to export, and so this responsibility, with that, this opportunity is there, and there are responsibility, and we are responsible to environment also. So how this this machine tool industry and manufacturing, this industry, farming industry, what are the activities they are doing towards the sustainability? This is an open question. Anyone can come in and just talk on this, please.
You can start and then I will add. Okay.
Mr. Ramesh,
there are several things that are definitely happening. One, from a sustainability perspective, everybody is kind of getting more aware of energy efficiency, better kind of motors. There's a lot of work that's happening on let's say sustainability from the spent oil, lubrication, coolants, cleaner coolants, no coolants. So these are all from a product kind of a perspective. A lot of redesign.
Something like combination of the machining activities to a same machine.
Combination, and also better ways of what were conventionally being done. Whether it's from a utility of energy, efficiency of energy, the kind of motors. Simple things from a product. So a lot of work on that has already happened, and sustainability and effectiveness has kind of improved. The second part is also from a safety perspective, both within the industry and also to the user industry. Comparatively, again, from where we are to where we are going. So a lot of awareness definitely has happened. and many user, like for example, cutting, coolant, oil people, and the machine tool users as well as builders are working together in ensuring that effectiveness, overall sustainable effectiveness is also kind of getting better.
Yes.
And a lot of this has now gone in right at the design level itself. Earlier it used to be about performance and the best power and the biggest depth of cut, etc., etc. Now it's being looked at from a more holistic perspective.
Approach. Yeah.
So
right.
yeah, and total lifetime cost is also being looked at far more effectively than what traditionally it used to be done.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I believe again the awareness is there. A lot of activity has happened, and ultimately people are now beginning to realize, even the users, that it's not just the one-time cost that you spend while you acquire a machine, but it's also what you spend over the life of the machine. So again, it has a direct business impact. So the weightage for all of this is becoming bigger and bigger in the minds of people, whether it's designers, whether it's operations people. So the value of all of this is being realized. And again, it's not just increase in cost, so that awareness and the practicality is also being adequately bought in the products and the processes.
Right, Mr. Ramesh. You said that one machine for everything, and reduction in the coolants we used, and lubrications we used, and sustainable of that machine itself. Yeah, Mr. Ravi, you wanted to add something.
Yeah, so it's from two perspectives, as Ramesh rightly said about the product part. We've all become more aware of things, and it's being developed from the R&D, from the design stage itself. It's not in the end product. So a lot of us have taken this initiative of green machines.
Yes.
Like cutting tools and power and all, as Ramesh said, but also packing boxes, for example. Can you have a returnable donnages, not using so much of wood and things like that? But also from the facility perspective, I think most of us are fairly green from a facility perspective. We use solar more and more, renewables more and more, conserve water. Most of us are net zero on water consumptions. So all these, which probably were not very used in advanced level, all of us were doing for last 20 years, definitely. But I think that has gone to a very international level. People are thinking in these direction, and you can see those in the plans. Today, we are not hesitant to invite any foreigner to your facility, because earlier they would point out things. Today, I think we are fairly ahead of them in usage of renewables, for example.
Yes.
Spillages in the shop floors, spoiling the soil, maintaining the top soil of the. So people, greenery around and things like that. It's visible, so people appreciate that. And multi-process machining, high productive machines itself are one of the indicators.
Yes, because you reduce those.
Yeah, not calculating that carbon gains that we are getting, but I think the industry has done fairly well, but has a lot of opportunity, and one major being castings. For example, Germany came out of foundries to save their own country, but they use castings made in China or XYZ. So they exported pollution to some other countries and called themselves green. Now we will have that same challenge as machine tool industry grows. What about the foundries? How do we make it greener and use the thing? So we are looking at alternate materials. We found alternate materials which use wastages of other industry to make structures. So a lot of work is happening in those directions.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody, Mr. Vivek, Mr. Vikas, Mr. Navid, if you want to add something to this? Yep. So I mean, that's really a wonderful discussion, and for everything there is a time limit, and we are really running out of the time. I wanted to continue this discussion and really sounds interesting, but the clock is saying that I've already exceeded the time. So thank you all. Thank you once again, Mr. Vivek, Mr. Vikas, Mr. Navid, Mr. Ramesh, and Mr. Ravi for sparing your time and coming for this discussion. And thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you very
everyone.
much.
Thank you very much.
Enjoyed the discussion.
Thank you.
The discussion. Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.